I want to talk about The Chosen, this amazing character that you play. There's a lack of representation of disability on screen, but you've really paved the road.
You know, growing up as an actor, and especially once I went out to LA as a teenager, that's when I started to be told by casting directors to, you know, try it without the limp or tone the limp down or lose the limp.
I'm sorry, can I just interrupt you? Someone would tell you to lose the limp of the very thing that you could not
yes.
not have.
Yes.
Wow.
I remember, you know, auditions where the casting director would look down as I walked into the room, and then I was just checked out. I was like, I'm not getting this one. And but then The Chosen came along, and I got this audition, and I almost declined it because I had a busy day and I hadn't booked in 5 years. So I thought this would just be more of the same. But I thankfully went to the audition and got the call back. And then I got a call a couple of weeks after that. And we shot the first 4 episodes, which I wasn't in a whole lot. And the director, Dallas Jenkins, said, you'll be around a lot more in the next 4. Which I was. Those had already been written, and I was in those a lot more. And then in between season 1 and 2, he had asked me if I would be okay with him using my disability as part of the character. I said yes, but I was terrified initially because I knew that now they would be shining a spotlight on the thing that I hated most about myself. And we made it part of the story, and it's just evolved since then. And it's been the most, you know, cathartic experience getting to express many of my own experiences and insecurities through the character of little James, you know, especially in a show that's it resonates with a very strong Christian audience. The relationship between faith and healing, especially in that world, is really complicated and has caused a lot of damage to people in the disabled community. The idea that you're not praying hard enough, or that you don't have enough faith, or whatever it is, or the idea that I even need healing to be like, the only reason I have insecurities is because of how other people have made me feel. So it's been really cool kind of getting to start that conversation within that community.
I think what Dallas Jenkins, the director, did is very different from probably any other director that you probably had dealt with before that, right? In the way that, first of all, that your disability was not a barrier to you getting the role. And then even asking you, like, can I make this part of your character, I think is also rare. That it's not like, assumed or again, I think non-disabled people really commodify people with disability stories. And very often those stories are for the benefit of the non-disabled viewer. They're not for the benefit of the disabled person's story and experience. And so I'm curious, though, because it sounds like it was this really powerful experience for you to spotlight it and to fully embrace it. And so what was what did it change in your real life, right? Not the pretend life that you were playing on screen to fully love yourself in that way?
I mean, it changed so much. I had never really been very vocal, especially publicly, about my insecurities and how I truly felt about myself. Still to this day, even I'll walk past a mirror or a reflective surface and I kind of cringe seeing myself walk. And then I have to remind myself, like, what are you doing? Because, if I saw someone else that had the exact same walk as me, I wouldn't think twice about it. But so there's that kind of stuff that I just never really talked about. I never told anyone what I was feeling. And I'm typically a really optimistic, happy person. And I would... people just kind of assumed that I didn't have any of those struggles. By playing little James and expressing those same doubts and the feelings of like not being good enough or, strong enough, or all of these things that I comparing myself to others, by doing that as little James, it felt liberating, and it gave me the courage to do that in my personal life and to start my own podcast where I do that. And it showed me that the more I was willing to open up and talk about my struggles, it allowed other people to have the confidence to do it as well. And it created more meaningful relationships in my own life where I was able to get deeper with people. The only time it's weird, but even then I appreciate the opportunity to discuss it. Considering the show is in the faith realm, I will have people come up to me and like, want a picture. For instance, I had someone at the airport a couple months ago, a young couple. They came up and got a picture. They were all excited, and it was a great interaction. But then they said, so there's a scene in this last season where my character, who's an apostle with a disability, is told by Jesus to go out and heal people. He's been given the ability to heal. And my response is I follow him outside and I talk to him and I basically confront him. And I'm saying, you want me to heal people when you haven't healed me yet. And it's the most emotional scene I've ever done as an actor. It was, my character's talking about like, I'm not as good as the other ones in the group. I'm not as capable of them as them. I'm not as worthy as them. And it was a really powerful scene. And it's, kind of the message that not everyone is healed in this life, and that it's important to find the beauty in your circumstances and to use it to your advantage. And I was very proud of that scene. And most people, like a huge portion of the fan base, watched it and were seeing themselves, especially through the lenses, like, there's disabled Christians or people and other religions as well that were seeing themselves and for the first time feeling like it's okay to have a disability. I don't need that. I don't need to be healed in that way. And anyway, this couple came up and asked me, how do you feel about the scene you did with Jesus? And I was like, I loved it. As someone with a disability, it meant a lot. It was therapeutic and it's helped a lot of people. And I could tell they didn't like that answer. And they were like, well, do you mind if we pray for you? And I thought they meant like add me to their prayer list or something. And I was like, yeah, sure. So they both put their hands on me in the airport and started praying right there for my cerebral palsy to be taken away, and my scoliosis, which, it was one of those things where, considering, the kind of echo chamber that they live in and what they've been taught, I wasn't angry with them. I like, they haven't been exposed to these other ideas or perspectives. So I just, I told them like, I honestly don't, I appreciate the thought. But I was like, and if you want to pray for me, pray for my career, for my family, for all of that stuff. But I was like, I don't need physical healing. And it's one of those things that, those interactions, it's not super common, but they do happen. And, it can be a little uncomfortable. I've had on multiple occasions, people putting hands on my leg or things without asking for consent and praying for me to be healed. So that's a little uncomfortable, but I still think it's a teaching opportunity.